What's going on, everyone? We're back with another video today, and this time we're going to be talking about whether or not Enhancement Shaman is going to be considered overpowered in Shadowlands. Now, if you are a PVE player, let me first preface this by saying that this video is primarily going to be focusing on PvP, as whether or not a class is overpowered doesn't matter too much in PvE, other than if, you know, you're trying to get into really high keys or you're trying to push world first rating. You know, you want to be picking what's metagamed at that point. But in general, you'll be able to perform just fine. But I will talk about it very briefly for you. Enhancement Shaman in PvE is going to be fine. All right, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. All right. Now we're probably not gonna be able to perform very top tier because our class is just, and this is gonna drag into PvP a little bit here. Our class is just so hard baked RNG slot machine in terms of performance. Ooh-wee, it is insane. I don't think Blizzard knows how to fix it at this point. Storm Strike, Stormbringer. Did Stormbringer proc? No. Frick. Did Wind Fury proc? No. Frick. Did we get a Maelstrom weapon stack? No. Frick. You know, it's like, did we get a force? You know, because we didn't get a Wind Fury proc, we don't get a forceful wind stack. Frick. Did Storm Flurry proc? 25% chance for Storm Strike to do 40% more damage. No. Frick. If you're one of those people running Hot Hand, did Hot Hand proc? No. Ah, no. Darn it. You know, and there's just so many elements about our class that are RNG, you know. And if you're one of those people, because, you know, you don't like, you know, relying on Ascendance being a 3-minute cooldown, so you run Elemental Spirits instead, you know, Elemental Spirits, did you get the right wolves that you wanted? No. Frick. You know, it's just, there's just so many things about our class that are, you have no idea what's gonna happen with it. There are almost no definitives in terms of our class design at this point. The only thing that is definitive right now, and is the main thing that our people are complaining about, is our healing. Our healing is absolutely bonkers right now. So PvE, you guys, we're gonna do fine. Mythic Plus, we have really good AoE. We're in a really good spot there. Hailstorm is still really nice. Wind Fury is still nice overall, you know, because it can proc off, you know, everything for the most part. And then, you know, there's the legendaries and the covenants, which we'll talk about those more at the back end, because those are things that we need to address, because those play a pretty big role in terms of things performing, but they're not base class design things, right? So that's the big thing. I want to talk about the class enhancement shaman, the spec enhancement shaman, not the covenant enhancement shaman, not the legendary enhancement. I want to talk about enhancement shaman baseline class design. Are we going to be overpowered? Well, short answer is yes. Long answer is no. Because as many of you know, back in the start of BFA 8.0 to 8.01, Enhancement Shaman was in a pretty darn good spot. Well, after 8.1, didn't really see or hear about us very much after that, because, well, we got nerfed, you know, pretty hard, especially our healing. Now this is where all the PvP is going to be coming into play. Well, that's probably going to be what happens again, right? Our healing was considered too high and offered too much value in a single class, a single spec between damage and healing. And, well, they nerfed it. And right now, that's kind of how it's looking like it's going to be again for Enhancement Shaman. Right now, our healing is absolutely insane. With 5 stacks of Maelstrom weapon, I mean, you're able to heal for pretty much 75% of your health like that. And it's nice. I'm not gonna lie, it's nice. I will 100% absolutely admit it is overtuned, it is too high. However, I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't think that it's unnecessary, because of our class as of right now. If we did not have that kind of self-healing, if we did not have the ability to heal for that much off of our Maelstrom weapon procs, we would still just be dead on the floor really quickly, because Blizzard still has not given Enhancement Shaman frick all 4 defensives or a way to protect ourselves, because our healing is the only thing. Astral Shift is a singular defensive cooldown that cannot be used while we're CC'd. We don't have anything else that we can use while we're CC'd. We are absolutely, completely vulnerable, defenseless, chopped liver when we get caught in a stun with Astral Shift down. If Astral Shift is not up, we are very vulnerable to being killed because we are very squishy. Plain and simple. Our armor pretty much doesn't matter against a lot of classes because, well, they don't do physical damage, right? The only classes that we really have to worry about doing physical damage are, you know, Rogue, Hunter, and Warrior, because Paladins don't do physical damage. They do 99% Holy and Radiant damage, and they're just gonna pump through you, right? And then all the casters, your armor doesn't matter against any of them. Majority of the damage classes, any class that does damage through an elemental like aspect primarily, your armor, your male armor class, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter one bit. Nope, not at all. But for some reason, we're the only class, you know, that we know spec really that isn't able to, we know we have one defensive and that's it. And that's all we have to us, you know. Elemental is at least able to use Thundercloud or whatever it is while they're stunned to knock people away, right? And you know, Resto has the totem that, you know, splits up damage, and they have Spirit Link. They have, you know, there's a lot of different things that Resto can do. Obviously, it's Resto. It has the really high healing and a bunch of other things to it. It's the healer. It's supposed to be able to stay alive. But Ellie at least has something that it can do to knock people away to mitigate the amount of damage that they're going to take while they're inside of a CC like that, inside of a stun, inside of a Hodge, inside of a, you know, Thunderbolt, Hammer Toss, right? It's just, it's absolutely absurd how vulnerable Enhancement Shaman is. And so that's why I'm okay with the healing that they have right now. I absolutely agree that it's overpowered, but Enhancement's been saying for a long time, we need something else besides Astral Shift. It can't just be Astral Shift, or we need to be able to use Astral Shift while inside of a CC. That's the other side of it, right? We're just too vulnerable, right? We have nothing. So that's one of the big things there. Now, the next thing is going to be our damage, right? Now, here's the thing. Remember that thing I was just talking about earlier? Armor and whatnot? Well, everybody has armor. And what's our primary damaging form? Storm Strike. And you might be thinking, Storm Strike, yeah, I know, that's a elemental ability. No. Even though it says, hey, guess what? Energize both your weapons with lightning. It's physical. So everybody in the game mitigates some portion of your Storm Strike damage, which is your primary form of dealing damage, physical damage. Yay! Everybody mitigates our damage. Awesome. Fantastic. So Storm Strike, while it is a nice, consistent damage dealing ability, its damage is not even remotely comparable to a lot of other DPS classes in terms of its damage output in a PvP scenario. It lacks that, you know, big oomph that, you know, Arms Warrior has with Mortal Strike, Feral Druids have with Ferocious Bite, Windwalker's Monks have with Rising Sun Kick, Red Paladins have with Templar's Verdict. You know, a lot of these other classes, there's a lot of other melee DPS classes that they flat out have better damage than Enhancement Shaman, right? Just baseline. Now, some of you are probably thinking, oh, what's this guy talking about? Windwalker Monk and Feral Druids? Huh, those things are at the bottom of the DPS on the PVE meters. It's not how it works in PvP. For those of you who have not been on beta or have been, you know, in PvP very much, Feral Druid is currently Ferocious Biting on crits up to like 18k and consistently around like, you know, 6 to 8k on average with their normal ones. So Feral's doing a lot of damage on top of all their bleeds. Windwalker Monks are probably the most overtuned spec at the moment, hitting Rising Sun Kicks for like 16k, able to frickin' 100 to 0 somebody in a single CC by themselves. Their damage from their class is insane at the moment right now. It's actually wild. I mean, literally, you can literally look it up. Venruki and others have videos out talking about how freaking busted the damage is on Windwalker Monk at the moment, and why? It just got buffed recently as well. Why? Because they perform poorly in PvE. PvE performance does not correlate directly to PvP performance. All right, so we lack something along those lines in terms of that kind of pressure. You know, we have Sundering, which is a, you know, talent that we take here, 40-second cooldown, but its damage tooltip is lower than Storm Strikes. So that's not really a DPS cooldown as much as it is a opportunity to try to root somebody in place, because an incapacitate for 2 seconds doesn't really do much for you. You know, 1 second of that you're spending on the GCD, the other second of it, all right, it's 1 second. You know, you get 1 hit in on them, right? It's primarily more so going to be used as an interrupt, or a way to prevent people from moving, is really what it is. So those are things to look at there. You know, we lack that big damage skill, and that's where the Legendary and Covenants come into play, right? Those of you that are seeing things right now on these streams, on these highlight videos from people, on even the footage right now behind me in this video right here, this is primarily damage coming from either a Legendary or a Covenant skill. It's not baseline class damage ability. It's straight up a Legendary or a Covenant skill, right? So those are things we're going to talk about here in just a moment. The last thing that I really wanted to talk about is our mobility as an Enhancement Shaman. We don't have any, right? It's like, we have Ghost Wolf, right? And that's nice and all. That's great. There are a lot of other classes that have, you know, things that prevent them from being slowed while moving towards targets. Death Knights have them. Paladins have it, right? What do we have? We have Ghost Wolf. All right, we're in the same boat as them. Death Knights can at least pull people to them. Paladins have Hand of Freedom and the Steed Charger, which goes faster than our Ghost Wolf, by the way, right? Here's the thing. You're gonna be thinking, oh well, yeah, but you guys have Spirit Walk though, right? Right. Well, here's the gimmick about Spirit Walk. It's on a 1-minute cooldown, and it removes all movement and parent effects and increases move speed by 60% for 8 seconds, except for the tiny part where that as soon as you use it, you can be immediately rerouted or slowed or anything like that. It's not like Hand of Freedom, which is an ongoing, you know, effect that prevents movement impairing effects on you. So you know, it's actually, at times it's great. You know, you can use it, get out of a route. Well, you can get rerouted right away on the off chance that a mage is looking to do that to you, or any other class, a druid even, right? Like, so it's you know, it's nice to have that single route break and get a move speed boost on it. The issue though is that it can pretty much be negated instantaneously again, and then after that we have nothing. We have to literally run at you, right? And you're going to go, oh yeah, but you guys have a talent here, Feral Lunge. You know, you could jump 25 yards every 30 seconds. Why don't you just use that? Well, I would love to. However, it is on the same tier as Nature's Guardian, because Blizzard thought it would be a good idea to put the only other thing that could be considered even quantifiably as a defensive cooldown for Enhancement Shaman on the same row as it. Oh, you either have to choose, do you want to stay alive longer, or do you want to be able to get to people? Why do we have to pick that there? That has no business being on the same row together at all. There are 2 mobility traits on this one, and then a survival one. Meanwhile, we put a mobility and survival one here, along with another survival one here. This should just be swapped here with Static Charge. Make us choose between these 3, and then these 3 with this there. That would make way more sense, Blizzard. Gosh. So, you know, you can't really not take this, because this is the only thing that might keep you alive inside of a stun. Might, right? That's going to be negated by any class running a Mortal Wound effect, which there's going to be a lot of warriors in this expansion right now. So there's that, right? Those are the main things. Now, we told you the short answer was yes, we are going to be considered overpowered. Here's why. Our healing is actually, as I said earlier, actually insane, right? But alongside that, we have two things that are absolutely overtuned, broken, that I don't see staying that way. First one is our Covenant skill. Why do I not see that staying this way? Well, Blizzard has emphasized, and these have gone through multiple changes already as is, that it's a Covenant skill, right? They said that they're going to balance Covenant skills as much as possible, balancing Covenant skills so that they are as even as possible, and you know, not giving one an advantage over the other or anything like that. This just does way too much damage right now, along with offering healing. I 100% think that Blizzard is going to tune back Chain Harvest for Enhancement Shaman, because it right now, the way it's performing is only performing like that for Enhancement Shaman because they are allowing it to benefit from Maelstrom weapon stacks, so it's actually getting a 100% damage modifier onto it while also being instant cast. Meanwhile, Resto and Ellie have to hard cast it if they want to use it. So it's a totally different scenario of a skill use in that regard. So in enhancement, it's really unpredictable when it's going to come out, because you can instant cast it and it just hits for an absurd amount of damage. You know, this is the one thing I've had hit upwards to like 17k. However, it hits multiple people. It's like a chain lightning, but it's on crack because it also heals you and does way more damage than chain lightning. So this is where a lot of our burst damage like comes from, our kill windows happen from, is from this Covenant skill that is likely going to get tuned back for enhancement specifically. All right, so that's one of the things that you're seeing that's, you know, really insane damage. If you've been watching the clips behind me right here, you know, those are like where half the kills come from and like majority of our damage comes from in these quick matches. The other side of it is our legendary for Wind Fury Totem, right? This is our only other real kill window for damage, and that, you know, what I talked about earlier is our lack of damage, our lack of big oomph damage. Well, Wind Fury is that gap right there with Wind Fury, with the Wind Fury legendary Doom Winds, and some of that comes into play with the Soulbind conduits, because you have a conduit that gives Wind Fury a chance to proc a third time for another attack. Well, with the way Doom Winds works, being that it gives a 100% chance for Wind Fury to proc, as well as increases the damage of Wind Fury by 25%, that makes it do absolutely absurd damage within that 12-second window. Absolutely absurd damage within that 12-second window. But because of that, you know, it's pretty predictable when, you know, a shaman's gonna go for that window with it, right? You know, you see the Wind Fury Totem come out, boom, hit him with the disarm, boom, hodge him, CC him, you know, line of sight him, get away from him. It's a very big tell for Enhancement Shamans when it's going to come out, because first we have to use the GCD to put it down, right? So people are going to see it go down, and then they're going to then be able to react to it. It's not like, you know, we're able to just like do it and just start pumping right away. So, you know, people will see the Wind Fury Totem come out, and they'll either, you know, pop their defensives that they need to pop, or they'll do what they need to do to prevent us, you know, with a disarm, because a disarm lasts for 6 seconds. So, hey, look, they're 5-6 seconds. So that's like half the duration of the damage window that you're going to have from it, right? So there are ways to get around it. I do feel that our damage is very predictable in that regard for our kill opportunities. Now, that being said, we are still strong in a lot of scenarios right now because of our healing. We provide so much utility off healing at the moment that we just have a really good turbo cleave set up at the moment as a spec. I think, though, that as soon as our healing goes away, as soon as we lose our healing, as soon as that gets nerfed, I don't know what's going to happen to us, because at that point, there are numerous other melees that could take our place in terms of damage performance as a turbo cleave comp. Big time. Just a double melee cleave comp. There are other classes that would be able to do it far better than us, but because of the healing that we have right now, and because of Chain Harvest, and because of a legendary, we're in the mix right now. We're in the mix, right? We're up there banging around with the Windwalker monks and everybody else, right? But as soon as one of those things go away, you know, probably going to be Chain Harvest, probably going to be our healing surge healing. As soon as those things go away, we're going to be back off the list of anyone's attention because we're just not going to really bring anything else to the table. So, like I said, short answer is yes. Straight up right now, right out the gate, we are going to be considered overpowered. Absolutely. Long answer though, no, I don't think we will be at all. You know, I still think our class is very flawed from a design standpoint. We lack a lot of critical things to our gameplay that would allow us to actually perform consistently on a higher level with others. And, you know, I'm hoping that we don't get nerfed too much. I do expect that we are going to get nerfed, but I hope we don't get nerfed too much. So thank you guys for listening. These are just how it's played out so far on the beta and what I'm expecting to have happen going into Shadowlands. I would be happy to have Blizzard prove me wrong and not screw us up too much, but you know, if history repeats itself, we'll see. 9.1 will be the big one to watch out for. But guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the Shadowlands. Peace.